Trapwords is a variant of the classic party game Taboo, which you have probably played. To give it to you in a nutshell, Trapwords is a game in which you're playing Taboo, but the list of forbidden words is not printed on a card, but it is created for every word by the opposing team, who is also not telling you which words those are. And so you really have the feeling of being trapped in a dungeon and walking around very carefully, not knowing whether you're stepping on a trap or not. Because it is a variant of the game Taboo, which was very abstract, but now it has also been given a fantasy theme because it just looks like we prefer thematic games these days rather than abstract games. There aren't virtually any abstract games among the top 100 games on Board Game Geek, and so that seems to be the case. If you take a previous game and you remake it, added a theme if you did not have one already. So instead of scoring points like you have in some versions of Taboo, or moving a score marker on an abstract track like you have in other versions of Taboo, now we're exploring a dungeon. The dungeon is formed by using a number of these tiles. They're double-sided. All that matters really is the number that you see there, which indicates the number of forbidden words that will be used by the opposing team when your team is on that tile. So the higher the number, the harder the task will be, because there are more words that you need to avoid. So you take a number of these. The game can be adjusted for length and difficulty, so it's very flexible. You take a number of these and you form a line. You will place the markers representing your teams. You can play with very large number of people, but it's always two teams, and the teams will be racing to go to the other side of the dungeon facing a monster. Basically, you also had two other cards from a deck of cards that will add extra challenges for the players that are in the corresponding room. And when you're fighting the dragon, there are also extra challenges cards. Basically, you will need, in order to win the game, to complete the task of guessing the words without falling onto a trap word. Also, with some special restriction, with some special condition determined by the cards that will make defeating the monster particularly hard, or harder. Each team will receive a sheet such as this one. You fold it so it also works as a screen, and then we will also use these other little tomes here. Very nice, very adorable. You shuffle these cards. As you can see, they're double-sided. They can keep your red upside down. Each team will then draw one and put it in their own little book. And then players will work together to set up the traps for the opponent. So the teams looking at the word and looking at the number of forbidden words that they can write down, say 5, they will simply produce that list. And players will write it here, and of course you may not want to talk too much because the other team will hear you, so players will just write down whatever seems appropriate, and then you just can cross out the ones that do not apply. So for example, here we know that the other team is will try to guess the word bell. So we have to look for words that will be good traps. And maybe we write down sound, school, church, call, saved. We just write down a list of words. The other team is doing the same with another word that we don't know. And then simply we switch the books. And one at a time we try to guess. So now the other team is trying to guess bell as we check the list that we wrote here to make sure that they don't say that. A player will be the clue giver. The other players are trying to guess. You have only 5 guesses, and if you play the book as written, you also have a timer. Frankly, we don't like the pressure of the timer. We find that otherwise you take so much time setting up the traps, and then it's like about a minute. We just play with only 5 guesses, which is challenging enough, but no timer. And everybody seems to enjoy it better this way, but of course you can use the timer. If the other team manages to guess the word without falling onto any of our trap words, without saying any of our trap words, they get to advance on the track. Otherwise, well, they don't. Interesting enough, If after a round neither team has guessed their words, then the monster advances, so the monster just gets more confident. In truth, it is a nice self-regulating mechanism, because what if players keep not guessing it, then they would always be at the same distance from the monster, and the game may last a long time. The game actually will last not too long, because even if players don't guess, then the track pretty much is shortened, because after all, you need not necessarily to be here, but to defeat the monster before the other team does. The first player to defeat the monster, that is to guess a word in the room with the monster with the extra condition created by the monster, will win the game. Trapwords is certainly a taboo variant, and one that actually, once you know the idea, I guess you can make your own copy with a random word generator. But you shouldn't, of course. If you're playing the game with the rules that I explained to you, then it's your moral obligation, at least one person in the group should purchase a copy to support the publisher, so they will give us more of these fun games. So it is a taboo variant, which is a great fact, because which is a great thing, because of course we have all played Taboo and enjoyed it until of course it got too old, until people got to learn certain tricks. And this is a game that actually, compared to Taboo, will stay fresh for longer, because the difficult words, the forbidden words, will change every time. In a sense, to me, Trapwords is interesting actually also because when you compare the original Taboo and this game, you can really see how far we have gone in modern design from the 1980s to now. Because the general idea is the same, but everything has been retweaked and slightly improved upon in ways that give it a much more modern feel. Say, for example, the fact that here you have a sense of progression. In Taboo, you always have 5 words, and those are always the 5 forbidden words. Here, there is a sense of progression, of escalation. You start slow, and you can get to some really long and tricky lists of words. And of course you can change it from game to game, so you also have that element of flexibility. The game is sort of like self-regulating thanks to the fact that the monster moves towards you, so the length of the game changes. The players that are ahead have a harder challenge to face. It's just, and again, not irrelevant to me, there's a theme. Maybe pasted on, but it's a fun theme, and the art, seeing these heroes with these big heads, sort of chibi art almost. It's fun. It's fun game. And I have to say, Taboo was fun already, but the sense of dread and fear that you have when you're giving clues to your fellow dungeon crawlers, dungeon heroes, and you do not know what the opponent has placed there. Maybe you have an idea at least of some of the words and you're going around those. That sense of dread, you really have the sense of like all the fear of stepping on a trap, which actually that real sense I haven't had when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons. So it's pretty impressive that it gives you the feeling of the fear of stepping on a trap more than the role-playing games do, at least for me. The sense of dread is really part of the experience, makes the experience more intense. Is it fun exactly? Yes, because it is within a contained system, and so nobody gets hurt, but maybe your pride. On the other hand, when you're sitting on the other side and you figured out what they want to say, and there's some in general obscure word, but you trapped that and they fall for that trap, there is great satisfaction. And then we go back to the clue-giving side, and then of course, when you think of some reference which is completely counterintuitive, but then once explained, once given, the other group had not predicted, but then you had that ha-ha moment, light bulbs go on over people's heads, that again, there's great satisfaction. So, if you don't like Taboo, don't waste your time with Trapwords, because it's too similar for, I believe, the adjustments to really make the difference. But if you enjoyed the game, you're gonna enjoy this one even more. You have that fun social interaction, the idea that you are trying to think critically and laterally and in unconventional ways, but now with that extra element of preparing traps and trying not to fall for them in them. Trapwords, a Taboo variant, but a really, really good one. Definitely a lot of fun.